have some deaths that are funny, like you saw Kevin Hart in the trailer.
It's all good.
You don't walk away from that. That's a death.
Martin was laughing for like a good 30 seconds. I looked down, Martin's got his glasses on. He's just cracking.
Man, I was laughing so hard, too.
Like, is he going to get sick or what? And his ass just exploded.
See here, let's talk about that Jumanji.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, man. You know, here's the thing about the first Jumanji. Mm-hmm. They brought the jungle to you.
That's right. In the middle of Massachusetts, I think.
It was like Amazon at the time. They delivered the jungle to you.
Prime.
There you go. Jumanji Prime. Y'all remember that? You throw the dice, you pull out this mysterious board game. Depending on what number you get, all kind of animals could be busting through your house. Oh, Lord, look at Rhino running through the hallways about to kill children and everything. And this is a movie that had star power in it. Anybody who remembers this movie, it was not only sold because it was a film that was riding that early wave of CG effects, but also it had the great and late Robin Williams up in there. Mm-hmm. One of the people who was sucked into the game when he was a kid, came out an old dirty-ass homeless man.
Yeah, it had all that star power. Robin Williams, Kristen Dunst.
Yeah.
David Allen Greer.
I never saw Jumanji, so I never saw that.
Oh, no.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but you were 5. That movie wasn't that good. Some of y'all even confused. Well, you know, me and my mama used to play the board game. There is a board game, but not when the movie came out.
And a book.
But that was the thing about it, man. Y'all think that was such a good movie. You're 25, 26, maybe a little older right now. You were young. Mm-hmm. With this movie, Corey Goodwin, you were young.
I enjoyed it as a child.
You're young right now, but you were young and dumb at the time.
As a child, I loved it.
The reason why they were so upset is because they said you did this huge spectacle for a beautifully illustrated picture book.
Yeah, that book's gorgeous.
Jumanji, written and illustrated by Chris Van Allsburg. And this was a book with a great idea, with a huge idea that was delivered very simply. And it is based on the whole notion that these kids find a board game, and when they play, their house ends up turning into a jungle.
Man, that cover looks sinister.
Oh, man, you know what? That's one of the things about the movie is that they did kind of make it a little more sinister and dangerous than the book. You know, in the book, they just having like this fun adventure. You know, it's almost like a Cat in the Hat type thing. Mm-hmm. You know, the house is getting torn apart. Can they get this back together before mom and daddy get home and whoop that ass?
Right.
You know? A rhino did it. Boy, get your ass. Cow, quit lying.
them chimps look like get her.
Yeah. This is something where they did take it and they just had to stretch it out. They had to add a whole bunch of special effects. And a lot of people said, not saying that this couldn't have been turned into a movie, but you really did kind of deliver the obvious. You know, you delivered the visuals and the star power more than you did this really sweet story with these kids. Yo, you were lying about David Allen Greer.
The highlight of his career, Jumanji.
Now people looking at this and saying, all right, y'all got criticized for taking a sweet, simple book and blowing it up. Surely you've learned your lesson, Hollywood. You won't make that same mistake again. Well, Hollywood said, no, we won't do that again. This time we'll take the book and make it a video game based on a video game movie. And you know Hollywood's track record with video game movies.
Jesus.
Oh, let's go ahead and take a look at the trailer for Jumanji 2. Welcome to the jungle.
Weakness, none. I hate this game. Everybody else got good stuff. Don't let this new body get your butt whooped.
He should have lost a life right there.
Isn't that your weakness?
Something happening to me? Am I still black?
Yes.
Okay, we're fine.
You're gonna die! What's the girl's name in here?
Karen Gillan.
Karen Gillan. Yeah, as you can see, a lot of stars in here. You thought Robin Williams was big back in the day. You know, in this one, you got Kevin Hart, you got the Dwayne The Rock Johnson, which I should have said first.
Yeah, you get no
I got
bigger
that in the
than
wrong
him.
order. I can get sued just for that.
Yeah, man.
Let me start over. You got Kevin Hart, and then you got, I did it again. Because I'm looking at him right there. You got The Rock Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, and then you got Kevin Hart, you got Jack Black, and you also have that girl right there.
Karen Gillan.
Karen Gillan.
That girl.
What's that girl's name? And one of the things with the movie, I know I keep saying Jumanji 2, and you're right to correct me on that because they're saying that this is a sequel, but when watching this movie, now this is me not having seen the first one. Mm-hmm. You saw the first one, right?
Yeah.
Did you see? Yeah, you saw some of the first one.
Some of it.
Yeah, before you walked out.
I mean, before I turned the channel.
Before you made your daughter get up and change the channel. But
And get me a beer while you're up.
Watching this, it feels like it's not so much a sequel, maybe in name, but it seems like they're setting this up for like an anthology, at least with this.
It's I would say, and we actually talked to somebody that worked at Sony on the High Score, and he's saying what I would say about this too. It's a soft reboot because they do bring in the board game as you see there, and there's other little Easter eggs and things that are done in this movie that shows that all right, this world was in the first one, even though you didn't get a chance to see it.
The setup is kind of sloppy because to make it more modern, they have to make it a video game now.
Okay, but here's the thing. They try to make it more modern. And this is Sony who's putting their products all through this movie.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Jumanji makes an Atari cartridge and this was like 95 and the PlayStation was out. So
It was like a mini Nintendo cartridge. And that's my thing because in the movie, this kid gets a board game. And it's like, I know board games are big with millennials, but the kids out there, they like the video games. And the movies, it has to address that. Why are we going to a video game? And it's just the boy says, man, who plays board games? And the board game says, all right, well, fuck it, we're a video game. And it just turns itself into a cartridge.
It adapts.
yeah.
It adapts quick. Better be glad he didn't say sex games or something. Fucking game of rapist ass mother. You said you wanted this. But maybe it's like not sloppy, but it's just quick. They're like,
It's
look,
quick.
It's real quick. Here's the Breakfast Club. Let's get in the game.
keep going.
They say, how does it become a video game? Magic. And that is it. Move on. But move on.
Pushes you out the way.
But I would like to know how that's possible.
Get out. But then, where I will say it's not sloppy, but it's just a little bit lazy. And it's that same old thing of they're going to detention, and they're all different types of people. And they have to learn to work together or become friends despite their backgrounds. Sound familiar? Yes, it's the Breakfast Club. And
It's the Power Rangers.
And that's the other thing. We've already seen that done this year with the Power Rangers. And whether it be the Breakfast Club, or whether it be the damn Power Rangers right here, they all go through the same thing, the same types. You got the nerd, you got the pretty chick, the jock, you got the awkward girl. And those various types are in every one of these setups. And they all have to go to detention. That's why I was now during that time, even when I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, not on board with this. Seen it, done it, lazy. Let's get this over with.
Let's keep it moving.
Yeah. Well, I was like, get out.
It bothered me, but only for a second because it's like they are there for 1 second and the next second they're in the game.
They get sucked into the Jumanji version, video game version of the board game. And when they do that, they have to be different types. But the setup for the video game is not only a setup for a video game world, it's set up for a dumbass video game. It's a bad video game that they're setting up. Now, I'm not saying it has a reflection on the movie or not. The reason why I'm saying that is because being that it's a bad video game that they're in, and when I say bad, I'm talking about look, anybody who's played games, we know that a lot of times story is secondary.
Right.
Well, up until recently, that was always the case.
So with this is kind of an older video game. They set up a bad story for this, which means that they can get away with a lot of dumb shit later on in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, with this, they set up things not only do they set up that this is a dumb video game, they set up that fact in a clever way. They set up that we're going to take a lot of liberties here because we are a dumb video game. But the way they present that information, I have to say, is kind of clever within itself. And since they do set that up, that means that they can even get away with bad characters. Your boy, Bobby Cannavale, man.
I know.
Bobby Cannavale, y'all thought that Steppenwolf was a bad villain? He is terrible. And when I say he's terrible, it's almost like they shouldn't have tried to get Bobby Cannavale because for some reason he's trying to do a British accent. And there are moments where he just cannot do it. He's the main villain in the movie. He might as well have been made out of CG because he is really non-existent. And when he tries to talk with that British accent for a little bit, it goes in and out. And he's like a guy from Brooklyn doing community theater. And you can see, that head just stifling, trying to get that accent out.
But yeah, I think they did something with him that they didn't do with Steppenwolf. It's like, all right, we know he's stupid. We know he's dumb. We're going to put him in here very little.
He's in there very little. And again, he's a character that is normal for a video game.
Right.
He's a bad villain.
Yeah, because those games always had those kind of over the top characters.
They still do.
Who had to get this item so they could rule the world.
That's all he is. He just wants to rule the jungle. Why? It's just a bunch of trees and animals. Because I get to keep this pretty ass rock right here.
So gorgeous.
And that's the most that he has to his character is that he's got a bad eye and insects crawl out his ear.
Yeah.
That is the most to his character. The reason why, only complaint I have about it, because that's their loophole, it's a bad video game villain. It's just, again, I'm giving Bobby Cannavale a huge compliment. He's too big of a star for this role, if you ask me, because
Not really. He's not a household name.
I just think that for him, he's starting to get that if you want a British dude that is going to hardly be in the movie, get like a low character acting British dude to do it.
But I think he also has a look that's just different that works for what they're doing.
Man, somebody could have poked another person's eye out and had bugs crawling out.
I don't mean it's
That accent was so rough, man. He was sliding in and out of it like, are you okay? I thought he was having strokes.
Yeah, seize him. It was like a record was warping. Give him. Going back to where this movie succeeds, it's the cleverness lies in the video game tropes that they do. Avatars, cut screens, how many lives you get in a video game. They're all in play here,
right?
And they actually do a lot of clever things with those ideas. It's almost like Scott Pilgrim, where Scott Pilgrim was such a great movie. I'm not saying this is great, but Scott Pilgrim was such a great movie because they chose not to choose one particular property.
Right.
They chose to use the mythology and tropes of video games themselves, which made it a good video game.
Well, yeah, it's one of these things where you don't expect them to actually pay that much attention to it. Because most of the time somebody's like, oh, it's a video game. And then, they have colors and sound effects, but the rest of it is like, man, y'all just didn't give a shit.
No.
Pixels.
Yeah. Pixels being the main example. And when you look at it, you see the characters when they're talking about their attributes.
Cake.
Yes, cake is my weakness.
You're a good weapons valet.
What is that?
I think it means you carry my weapons and
And anybody who plays video games, you have a character sometimes that's a pack mule. So, and it's funny they did that, brother. You just a slave.
Son of a bitch. But he was rightfully outraged by it. He's like, he was carrying shit.
He was. He looked like, what's this on my back? Why am I carrying everybody's shit right now? And you know something? In a way, if you think about it, it does make this count as one of the better video game movies out there.
No.
I will say yes because
See, I was curious about that because I thought it was, but then I think the rule is it has to be a game that actually exists.
Less like Scott Pilgrim,
Right.
That doesn't count.
That's exactly what I thought. I was like, because that's why Scott Pilgrim always gets ruled out because it's not based on an actual game.
But 2006, PlayStation 2 had a Jumanji video game. They came out before the movie.
Not before the property, though.
It's an actual game.
It's the board game in the game.
But it's in a game.
I don't think
it's on video.
You know what? I will leave this up to y'all.
Yeah,
People watching.
We got to have a ruling from the chat.
Yeah, we need a ruling.
I'll go to after we're done the review, we'll go for a ruling to the chat after we're done with the review and see what you say.
They managed to use all these video game tropes not only well, but they managed to get them back into where they make sense, which is something that really surprised me.
And let me tell you something.
And the fear of when you only have one life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the thing is, that's something I loved about this, man. They did not shy away from deaths.
Right.
Because there was that first death in this movie, you're like, this is going to be, holy shit, it comes out of nowhere.
I know, because it's a PG and it's mostly family friendly. I mean, there's no fart jokes, and they do hint about some sexual things, but more like nothing you got to worry about your kids with.
Right.
But some of the deaths, deaths are quite gruesome. They take you, they catch you off guard.
Yeah, that first one, man. You're like, oh, it's just gonna be, yo,
Man, that I'm glad you brought that up because that's one of the things I actually forgot to bring a clip up from. You talking about that first death?
Oh yeah,
yeah. Where they put in the trailer, but I'm just gonna show you again. I don't want anybody calling about spoilers because they put it in there.
Game machine must have elected you to now we're oh my God!
It's like there was no walking away from that.
yeah. Everybody's like, you're thinking people would laugh at the audience. They're just people recoiling from the screen.
People look like Kevin Hart in the movie.
Yeah, he got deep blue seed right there, and the camera doesn't even shy away. Yeah, gets a reaction shot from them, and it goes back so you can watch the rest of it.
And they're truly horrified. It is a horrifying moment in there because in the movie, let me see here. Because in the movie, they let me see here. In the film, they have some deaths that are funny. Like you saw Kevin Hart in the trailer.
It's all good.
You don't walk away from that. That's a death.
Man, I hate they showed that in the trailer because that caught me so off guard in the movie.
I saw him cracking up at that part. Martin was laughing for like a good 30 seconds. I looked down, Martin's got his glasses on. He's just cracking.
Man, I was laughing so hard too. I mean, it's just funny to watch Kevin Hart explode.
It's all good.
Some people fantasize about that. And this was delivered.
What are they going to do with him? I was like, is he going to get sick or what? And his ass just exploded.
He did it. They weren't predicted either, man.
Yeah.
Like, even though you knew cake was his weakness, you didn't see that coming. And the funny thing about it is, like, they set that up as a funny joke. He had his moment. He got a joke in.
It's all good.
And and it caught you off guard, and he blew up, quick and easy. But when that hippo got a hold of that girl, man, or Jack Black, that shit was horrifying because that shit goes on, man. Like you get to see
That old game machine must have elected you to now we're oh my God!
like that goes on for like another minute where he gets chewed up.
Yeah, and again, Martin, they do not shy away from it. You're just sitting there watching a man get eaten by a hippo. It is horrifying.
The only thing that probably gets me here is they were a little loose with the rules. Like I said, I love the whole thing where they have their lives marked on their arms with the tattoo. And I like the way they introduce it. Like when they move the arm a little bit, it kind of changes, and because they think it's just a tattoo at first.
Right.
But one of the things that I really was I thought they took some liberties on was the rules of their attributes. Like we saw cake as somebody's weakness and whatnot, but like right here they have Dwayne The Rock Johnson where his weakness is a none. And it's like, well, that means you're invincible here. I mean, you got to have some kind of weakness. I don't know how.
Lives went down for everybody.
Yeah, he can still die. He's not invulnerable. And there's the weakness of the kid who's actually inside of him.
Oh, that yeah. And you know what? And that's the thing with the movie, man. We're talking about how the tropes work, but also it's the actors who are having a lot of fun with this. Because at first, as I said, looking at this trailer, we made fun of the trailer because I didn't think this was going to be that good.
Nobody did.
No, man. Because these actors are kind of doing what they're known for, and it looked like an easy paycheck. I mean, The Rock is in here. He's got his eyebrow thing going on right there. One of these days, that eyebrow just going to crawl off his head and just run away, turn into a butterfly.
I'm free.
I don't need this shit.
Gotta go get his own agent. Ain't playing second fiddle to your face no more. You have the combination of Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart doing their big small joke thing again, looking like Master Blaster running through here. It's he's doing his small thing and he's doing aren't we opposites? I'm huge, you're so tiny. That's just physically funny if we do a team up. We saw that right here. He's running on his back. The thing with them doing the things that they do it in very, very, very short amounts. And then they are doing really, they're having a lot of fun playing their teenage counterparts.
Jack Black, he was killing it for me. Every time he was on, I was waiting for him. I was like, man, I mean, he has kids, so I guess he's like, all right, I'll just study you to know how a teenage girl acts. And
man,
he made me laugh every time he was on screen.
Me too, man. Every time he opened his mouth, that belly went away, that beard went away, and I saw nothing but that teenage girl that he was playing.
I can't even with this place.
People who watch him do this in the movie, he is that girl throughout the whole film. So it might get on some people's nerves, but he cracked me up every
But
time.
he wasn't
did
even overly exaggerated.
Yeah.
He was very nuanced in the performance. You know, she had levels, and even her character has an arc.
And even Kevin Hart, man.
I mean, Kevin Hart was the least of playing the character, but he
Man.
was still pulled back on his Kevin Hartness.
Kevin Hart was Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart is making a joke out of his height.
Well, I don't have the top 2 feet of my body.
You know, that's some of the biggest checks that he gets just making fun of his height.
But he did not do it as much as he usually
Right,
does.
he
It. Like
did not.
he cracked that joke maybe 2 or 3 times, and then outside of that, it was like, all right, these are my weaknesses. Like I'm having problems with this and this. Like, all right, cool, I appreciate that.
And he's playing a character who normally is a big dude.
Yeah.
So it makes more sense here as opposed to his other movies where he crowbars
Yeah.
it in.
Maybe all these people's movies need to have like teenagers as them first.
Yeah.
Like later we see them.
Yeah.
Like it makes sense now.
Yeah. Whatever Kevin Hart lacks in height, he makes up in money. Like he got stacks.
Yeah.
Kevin Hart made me laugh a lot
Yeah.
in the movie, man. Some of the things that he was saying, his timing. This is why you see Kevin Hart as such a great comedian. When he doesn't have to sit back and just coast through a film, and which I thought he was going to do in this, the guy is really funny, man. His timing, his delivery was amazing with some of the things that he said. And it's because these, you know, the actors are having fun because they're working as a team in the movie. Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson are the biggest people in here, but Jack Black, as we said, he's one of the standouts, and even Karen
Gillan, yeah.
even
They all work well together.
She works really well because the whole time, because she's, man, in the movie, she is wearing that
Lara Croft.
that Tomb Raider outfit.
like that suit that is where those ass huggers are right up in her ass, and not once did I really find her all that sexy because she kept crouching over and covering her body.
Then when she tries to be sexy, yeah.
It just looked bad, man. You felt bad for her. You looked awkward. Yeah, you know.
Cover up. You look cold.
Yeah, it looked like she had diarrhea or something the whole movie the way she was hunched over.
But no, that was one of the things that I feel like they worked on in this movie, because a lot of these movies, especially when they turn into these destination films where they go to like Hawaii, obviously that's where they were here, or like Spain or something, it just feels like, all right, we had friends, we just got together and we made a movie, we shit this out, and then we're gonna go do something else. But with this one, it felt like, all right, they actually spent some time, like a week or 2 in Hawaii, got to know each other, learned each other's little faults and little
Got
cues
drunk together.
Yeah, like it feels like they actually hung out and became friends, and then that translated well to screen.
So the teenagers in the movie, man, as I said, they're not much. And when I say it, like, it's not even just the jock or the popular chick or the nerd. I mean, you know, we're talking about things like the Jewish kid who, to let you know he's Jewish, his catchphrase is "Oy vey" through the whole movie.
Yeah.
You know, the girl, she has her phone all the time. That's her thing. She just like she loves to do social media and talk on the phone. He's the black dude with a catchphrase, "Oh hell no!" But his is "What the hell?" He says it about, you know, and I knew at first I was like, man, this is bad dialogue. But then Kevin Hart keeps saying it, and then the girl, you know, she's just, as I said, her physical thing is to just hunch over and cover herself and look really awkward. I mean, so there's nothing to these characters anyway. But with these types, the actors are having so much fun, like Dwayne Johnson with his big ass. There was not a moment where I didn't believe that he was a nerd trapped in a big man's body. You know, either he was freaking out or he was really too happy to be in that body. And he was, and the whole time he was he just talked like he was really insecure. Man, you can get a lot done and get away with a lot when a movie is just knows that it's silly and that's all it wants to do. You know, there's some things that stand out. I'm not even saying they're bad. One of them is Nick Jonas. Nick Jonas isn't really bad in the movie, but you can tell that this was something where his agent said, "Hey kid, you know, I got a movie for you. It's a small part. It's not too dramatic, so you get to exercise your chops in there, and you know, you get to ease your way into being on the big screen." And
That bitch Harry Styles is in Dunkirk. I'm gonna be in something.
I'm gonna be
goddammit.
something, yeah. And it's, you know, and it's funny because even the other characters looking at him like, "Why you here, man?"
Yeah.
They're like, "You sang, you don't act. The fuck is he doing here?"
Stay off the white bricks. What?
That girl just shit herself.
That's what you've been holding in the whole time. Like, well, I don't need to do that
Little
anymore.
tight ass shorts, so, you know, they just squirted everywhere. But you saw Nick Jonas in there. That's almost a compliment to the movie saying this, and nothing against Nick Jonas. But as you see, the movie, it moves so fast that you don't really have a chance to judge whether he's good or whether he's bad.
I did. I thought he was okay. I mean, when he first pops up, I had that little bit of like, oh no, this is going so well. But then I was like, oh, you know what? He's not bad. And his character adds a whole new flavor to what's going on.
No,
I mean, not flavor, but
an element.
It changed an element.
There's
Thank
an
you.
element there. And I would stick to that. I can't tell you whether he's good or bad. He was good here,
Yeah.
but he was hanging around a lot of people who were probably holding him up.
Well, he used to do a TV show.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Him and his brothers used to have a show.
Okay.
So he's not a stranger to acting.
Okay, well then you know what? Like I said, I didn't see anything bad with him here.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him do anything but this. So that's why I'm saying I don't know what he does. But hey, look, Martin,
He's not a standout, but he's there.
Yeah.
Look, Martin.
He held his own with this cast.
If you vouch for the man, then he's fine with
I
me.
vouch for
he,
him.
he can come on in. This was. I'm gonna sit up here. I'm glad I didn't say, man, if this movie's good, I'm gonna eat my shoe.
Right.
Because I'll be walking out here with one shoe on tonight. Because this movie surprised me. Now, is it great? I'm not gonna say that. There's again some things in here. Like I thought the ending of it was pretty bad. But for the most part, man, I really was surprised by this. I had a lot of fun with this, and I give this a matinee.
We've seen so many other movies out there like Pixels for the negative side and like Scott Pilgrim for the good side. And this is up there with, I'm not going to say as great as Scott Pilgrim is, but when it comes to the video game aspect, yeah, they do a lot of things really well. They have the live system. They talk about, even if you are a newbie to video games, that they say like a quick acronym, they're like, oh, well, this is what that is. So if you are a newbie to it, you can understand what an NPC or something like that is. Yeah, I had a blast watching this movie, man. This is a full price for me.
All right, Martin.
Full price. Yeah, full price. Not only is it genuinely funny, but it's sweet. I mean, they really care about these characters. It's not one of these cynical comedies that's just throwing shit together on the screen. Even at the end, it has this kind of sweetness that yeah, I talked to some people who said they kind of teared up a little bit at it. I was like, yeah, I could totally see that.
If you're wanting that Uncharted game, this is a good little snack. Can I explain myself? It kind of has the same villain from number 2. It's in the jungle. You got all these little traps and things going on. You have to return a jewel back to where you found it, or save this jewel from this bad guy. This is a snack. I'm not saying it's a perfect Uncharted
Now, unless
movie.
you got a visual, I think he wins this one.
Well, I was just going to say, if we're going to go that route, then this can be a video game movie.
Oh.
Because it's based on a video game.
I said a snack, not a full film. Not a full film, sir.